The nurse counted pills behind the clinic counter, fluorescent lights humming like insects. Rain streaked the windows as night shift silence pressed heavy on her shoulders. The door slammed open, leather jackets dripping water, laughter cutting through antiseptic air. 3 men spread out, blocking exits, eyes lingering where no eyes should linger. She stiffened, hands steady, pretending charts mattered more than the heat crawling closer. A chair scraped softly behind them, unnoticed, boots planted with deliberate calm. Beside a Navy SEAL with his German Shepherd stood, still as stone, watching everything. When a hand reached the nurse, the SEAL moved, ending the question instantly. The beating was brief, disciplined, unmistakable, leaving no doubt about protection. The nurse's name was Elena Morales, though no one in the clinic used it much. They called her Night Shift, the way people name storms after they've already passed. She worked the after-hours urgent care off Route 9, the place people went when nowhere else would take them. Broken fingers, ditches, quiet overdoses. She handled all of it without asking questions. That night, she was restocking syringes, counting carefully, because mistakes stayed with you. The rain outside had been steady for hours, tapping the glass like it wanted in. When the men entered, the room changed temperature. Not colder, tighter. They didn't rush her. They leaned, smiled, took their time reading her badge, her hands, her silence. One of them asked if nurses ever got lonely working nights. Another laughed too loud. Elena didn't answer. She focused on the counter, the labels, the rules she'd learned about surviving small rooms. Don't escalate. Don't provoke. Don't show fear. She didn't see the man in the corner at first. Most people didn't. He sat with his back to the wall, coffee untouched, posture relaxed in a way that wasn't casual. At his feet, a German Shepherd lay motionless, eyes open, breathing slow. When the first hand touched Elena's wrist, the dog stood, and the man followed. The Navy SEAL moved without urgency, which made it worse for everyone else. No shouting, no warning, just distance closing with certainty. The man holding Elena didn't even turn fully before his balance vanished. Pivot, a sweep, bone meeting tile with a sound that shut the room down. The second gangster reached for something in his jacket. The Shepherd was already there, teeth stopping inches short of skin, a low sound vibrating the floor. The third tried to run. The SEAL caught him by the collar and redirected him into a wall, controlled, precise, final. It was over before Elena realized she was holding her breath. The SEAL didn't linger. He checked her wrist with 2 fingers, professional, detached. "You hurt?" he asked. She shook her head. He nodded as if that settled everything. Police sirens came late, distant, uninterested. The men were dragged out, groaning, promising things they couldn't deliver. The clinic returned to its humming, antiseptic quiet. Elena watched the SEAL pay for his coffee. He didn't look at her again. He whistled once, softly. The dog followed. She thought that was the end of it. She was wrong. They came back the next night. Not the same men. Smarter ones. Elena knew something was wrong the moment the parking lot went quiet. No engines. No passing trucks. Just rain and the flicker of the clinic sign. This time they didn't harass. They waited. She locked the doors early, hands shaking despite herself. Her phone had no signal. The back exit light flickered once, then died. The SEAL was there again, same corner, same calm, as if he'd never left. "You should go," Elena whispered when he passed the counter. "Not tonight," he said. The power cut seconds later. Darkness swallowed the clinic, emergency lights bleeding red across white walls. Glass shattered at the rear entrance. The Shepherd moved first, silent and fast. The SEAL followed, shadow among shadows. Elena heard impacts, short breaths, A body hitting metal. She stayed where she was, gripping the counter, trusting a stranger she didn't know, trusting that some lines, once crossed, didn't get uncrossed. When the lights came back, 3 men were gone. One was left behind, breathing, barely. The sheriff arrived this time, slow and irritated. He didn't ask Elena many questions. He didn't look too closely at the man on the floor. "Best forget this," he said, like advice, like a warning. The SEAL watched him leave, face unreadable. Elena saw something tighten behind his eyes. "You should leave town," she said quietly. "They won't stop." He nodded once. "They never do." That was when she learned his name was Aaron. He didn't offer more, didn't ask for thanks. He stood, adjusted his jacket, checked the shepherd's paws with care. Then he hesitated. "They'll come after you now," he said, "for not being afraid." Elena swallowed. "I've been afraid my whole life." Aaron met her eyes for the first time. "Then you're overdue." He left before dawn, or so she thought. By morning, her tires were slashed, her locker broken into, a message carved into the counter where she worked. She understood then. Protection always costs something, and someone had decided she would pay. Elena didn't call anyone about the message. She cleaned it herself, bleach burning her nose, hands steady by habit. By sunrise, the counter looked normal again, but the feeling didn't leave. She walked home instead of driving. Rain hid her tears. Fear had changed shape. It wasn't sharp anymore, just heavy. That afternoon, a man waited outside her apartment. Not hiding, not threatening, just leaning against a car that didn't belong in her neighborhood. "You shouldn't be alone," Aaron said, as if continuing an old conversation. She didn't ask how he found her. Some questions only made things worse. "They're connected," he continued. "Clinic, sheriff. The men last night weren't random." Elena laughed once, short and bitter. "Nothing ever is." They sat inside her apartment without turning on lights. Aaron explained only what mattered. The gang controlled the strip of highway. Medical supplies disappeared. People who noticed got pressured, or worse. "I don't want trouble," Elena said. "I just wanted to help people." Aaron looked at her then. Really looked. "That's usually how it starts." Outside, a car idled too long. Titan growled low. Aaron stood. "They know you won't stay quiet." They moved Elena that night. No bags. No goodbyes. Aaron chose an abandoned ranger cabin 10 miles out, deep enough to disappear. Titan checked every room before Elena stepped inside. The cabin smelled like dust and pine sap. Safe but temporary. Everything was temporary now. Aaron set rules without explaining them. Lights off after dark. No phone use. No windows uncovered. Elena watched him work, methodical, quiet. She realized he never sat with his back exposed. Never stopped listening. "You could leave," she said. "They want me, not you." Aaron didn't look up. "They already chose me." That night, headlights swept the trees below the ridge. 1 car, then 2. Aaron didn't panic. He waited. When the first man stepped into the clearing, Titan was already gone. The second man dropped without a sound. Aaron disarmed the third and whispered something Elena couldn't hear. The men fled, fast, afraid. Elena's hands shook afterward. Not from fear, from understanding. This wasn't protection anymore. It was escalation. And once it started, it didn't stop on its own. By morning, the sheriff declared the clinic temporarily closed. "Electrical issues," he said. "Safety concerns." Elena heard it on a battery radio in the cabin. Her job, her purpose, erased with a sentence. "They're tightening the circle," Aaron said. "They want you isolated." "Then they're winning," she replied. Aaron studied her for a long moment. "You want to go back?" "I need to," she said. "People depend on that place." He didn't argue. He just nodded. They returned at dusk, slipping in through the rear alley. The clinic was dark, silent, wrong. Inside, file cabinets were overturned. medical records scattered, names circled in red ink. Elena recognized them, patients who couldn't pay, patients who wouldn't talk. Her hands curled into fists. This wasn't about her anymore. A door creaked behind them. The sheriff stepped out, gun low but ready. "You should have stayed gone," he said. Aaron stepped forward, calm as ever. "You should have stayed honest." The sheriff smiled thinly. "No one's honest here." Outside, engines started. More coming. Elena felt the weight of the moment settle. Running wouldn't save anyone now. Gunfire never came. Sirens did. Not local. Different tone. Different authority. The sheriff's smile faded as headlights flooded the parking lot. Federal vehicles. Unmarked. Too many to bluff. Someone had talked. Quietly. Carefully. Aaron lowered his hands first. Titan sat. Alert. Controlled. Elena realized then this was the plan. Not violence. Exposure. Agents moved in fast and precise. The sheriff was disarmed, cuffed, silent. Inside the clinic, evidence bags filled quickly. Records, drugs, money trails. An agent approached Elena. "You kept copies," she said. Elena nodded. "I didn't know why. I just knew someday I'd need them." The agent smiled once. "That's usually enough." Aaron watched from the edge of the light. He didn't look relieved, just finished. By dawn, the clinic reopened under temporary supervision. The gang's grip loosened overnight. Aaron packed to leave. No ceremony. Elena stopped him at the door. "You didn't have to stay." He met her eyes. "Yes," he said. "I did." Titan nudged her hand once before following. Some protections don't last forever, but they last long enough. The town didn't celebrate. It adjusted. People spoke quieter. Doors stayed locked longer. The clinic filled again, but the fear hadn't left, only changed direction. Elena noticed it in the way patients avoided her eyes, like gratitude carried risk. She worked anyway. That was the agreement she'd made with herself. 3 days later, Aaron returned. Not to the clinic, to the edge of town. He didn't come alone. Titan walked beside him, but there were others now. Unmarked vehicles, unfamiliar faces. Men and women who didn't ask questions twice. "They're regrouping," Aaron told her. "Different leadership. Same methods." "So it isn't over," she said. "It never is," he replied. "But it can be smaller." Elena followed him to a storage unit near the highway. Inside were crates of stolen medical supplies, expired labels, fresh serial numbers. "They were siphoning through the clinic," Aaron said. "Using you as cover." Elena felt sick. Not from fear, from responsibility. "I didn't know," she said. Aaron met her gaze. "You noticed. That's why you're still standing." Outside, a car slowed, then kept going. The town was watching again. So were they. The retaliation didn't come loud. Came slow. Patient refused care. A landlord raised rent. A stranger followed Elena 2 blocks, then vanished. Pressure without fingerprints. Aaron stayed close, but never too close. Protection that didn't draw attention. One night, Elena found her clinic locker emptied. Only one thing left behind. A folded note. "Leave." She didn't show it to Aaron. She didn't need to. That evening, the clinic's generator failed during a storm. Emergency lights flickered, then died. Elena moved patients by phone light, steady voice hiding the truth. Someone had planned this. Aaron arrived through the back entrance. Rain-soaked. Titan was tense, ears high. "They're inside," he said quietly. Elena nodded. "I know." They didn't wait. Aaron moved through hallways like memory guided him. Titan cleared rooms ahead, silent but absolute. They found the men in the supply room. 2, armed, nervous. No fight, just control. When it was over, Aaron knelt beside one man and spoke softly. Elena couldn't hear the words, but she saw the man's hands shake afterward. Fear, she realized, didn't need bruises. The turning point came without warning. A letter arrived at the clinic, addressed to Elena by name. Inside was a deed. A shell company, property transfer. The gang was laundering assets through healthcare real estate. The clinic wasn't just cover, it was leverage. Elena felt the weight settle fully now. This was bigger than intimidation, bigger than her. Aaron read the documents once, then again. They're trying to buy legitimacy, he said. Healthcare cleans money quietly. So what do we do? Elena asked. Aaron looked at Titan, then back at her. We stop being quiet. They met with a federal investigator that night. No press, no promises. Elena handed over everything she'd kept. Copies, dates, names. The investigator listened without interrupting. That mattered. By morning, warrants were moving. Accounts frozen. Doors closing. The gang responded the only way they knew how. They burned the storage unit. Flames lit the sky just before dawn. A warning. A goodbye. Elena watched from a distance. Aaron stood beside her. They're done, he said. She wasn't sure if he meant the gang or this chapter. The arrests came in waves. Not dramatic, just thorough. People disappeared from positions they'd held for years. The sheriff, the landlord, 2 clinic board members. The town breathed differently. Elena kept working through it all. Bandages, charts, lives. Aaron stayed until the last warrant was served. Then he packed again. This time, Elena didn't try to stop him. They stood outside the clinic at sunrise. The sign buzzed softly overhead. You going far? She asked. Far enough, he said. Titan sat between them, calm, watchful. They'll remember you, Elena said. What you did. Aaron shook his head. They'll remember you. He paused, then added, You didn't look away. He left without drama. No promises. Weeks passed. Then months. The clinic stayed open. The road stayed quieter. Sometimes, Elena thought she saw a familiar shape at the edge of the parking lot. A dog's silhouette. A man leaning against a wall. But when she looked again, there was only light and work. Winter came early that year. Snow pressed the town into stillness, hiding what hadn't healed. Elena learned how silence could feel earned instead of threatening. Patients lingered longer. Some said thank you out loud. Then one night, the clinic's back door alarm chirped once and stopped. Elena didn't freeze this time. She locked the front, grabbed the emergency phone, and waited. The man who came through the back wasn't from the old crew. Different face, different confidence. You caused problems, he said, standing too close. People lost money. Elena met his eyes. So did patients. He smiled thinly. That's not our concern. Before he could finish, the shepherd hit him from the side. Not wild. Controlled. Aaron stepped out of the dark like he'd always been there. I told them to stop, he said calmly. They didn't listen. The man tried to reach for a weapon. Aaron ended that attempt with a single movement. When it was over, Aaron didn't stay. He checked Elena for injuries. None. Last one, he said. She wanted to ask how he knew. She didn't. Some truths didn't need explaining. The town never heard about that night. That was the point. By spring, new management took over the clinic board. Transparent. Boring. Elena was promoted. Not because of heroics. Because she stayed. One afternoon, a package arrived with no return address. Inside was a folded note and a worn leather bracelet. You were never alone. She closed her hand around it, steady. Life moved forward in small, honest ways. Morning coffee, paperwork, laughter in waiting rooms. Then, months later, a familiar bark echoed across the parking lot. Titan stood near the fence, older now, scar visible beneath his fur. Aaron leaned against a truck, thinner, quieter. I told you it was the last one, Elena said. Aaron smiled faintly. Last one here. They didn't hug. Didn't need to. I'm done, he said. Going somewhere quiet. Elena nodded. Good. Titan pressed his head into her hand once. Hard. Some goodbyes don't hurt. They settle. They sat on the clinic steps as the sun dipped low. No urgency. No danger. Aaron spoke a little this time. About leaving service. About learning how to stop listening for threats. Elena listened without fixing anything. That mattered. You ever regret staying? He asked. She shook her head. I regret almost leaving. Aaron nodded, understanding more than she said. Car passed on the road. Then another. Normal sounds. Earned sounds. When Aaron stood to go, Titan followed. Then stopped. The dog looked back at Elena, tail still. Go on, she said softly. Titan obeyed. Aaron paused at the truck. You did the hard part, he said. Living after. She watched them drive away until the road bent out of sight. The clinic lights flicked on behind her. Patience would come tomorrow. Protection, she realized, wasn't about force. It was about what remained when force left. She went back inside. Years later, Elena would still remember the sound of boots on tile. Not the violence. The restraint. The town changed slowly, the way real things do. No headlines. No monuments. Just fewer closed doors. Elena trained new nurses now. Told them how to keep hands steady when rooms turned small. She never told the whole story. Only the parts that helped. Sometimes, late at night, she walked the parking lot before locking up. Listening. Once, far off, she heard a bark. Or maybe she imagined it. Either way, she smiled. Because she understood something then. Justice didn't always arrive with sirens. Sometimes it arrived quietly. Sat in the corner. Waited. And when the moment came, it stood up. The letter arrived on an ordinary Tuesday. Folded once. No stamp. Elena found it taped beneath the clinic door after closing. Inside was a single line, handwritten. They tried somewhere else. It didn't work. She sat on the steps longer than usual that night. Not afraid. Just listening to the quiet she'd earned. The town had learned something it couldn't unlearn. That power wasn't permanent. That silence could be broken without shouting. Inside, the clinic smelled like disinfectant and coffee. Familiar. Safe. Elena locked up and walked home under clear skies. No rain. No shadows following. She thought about the people who passed through her care. How many battles never showed on charts. Protection, she realized, didn't always look like staying. Sometimes it looked like knowing when to leave. She folded the letter and placed it in a drawer with other things she didn't explain. Not secrets. Just truths that didn't need witnesses. That night, she slept without dreaming. Time did what it always does. It softened edges. The clinic expanded. New staff. New equipment. Elena became someone others leaned on. Not because she was fearless. Because she was steady. Occasionally, travelers passed through. Men with careful eyes. Dogs trained too well. They never stayed long. One evening, a young nurse asked her how she handled difficult nights. Elena thought for a moment. You don't rush, she said. And you don't look away. That was all. Later, alone, she stepped outside and felt the cool air settle. The road hummed quietly. Somewhere far away, she knew, Aaron was living a life without alarms. Without waiting. She hoped so. The world didn't become kinder. It just became clearer. And clarity, she'd learned, was enough to keep going. On the clinic's 10th anniversary, someone left flowers by the counter. No card. No name. Elena recognized the gesture. Not gratitude. Acknowledgement. She placed them near the window where the light reached. That night, she stayed late, finishing paperwork, listening to the building breathe. The hum of machines. The quiet between footsteps. She remembered the first night. The fear. The stillness before movement. What stayed with her wasn't the violence. It was the choice. Someone had seen a line crossed and stood up. Not for credit. Not for reward. Just because it was necessary. Elena turned off the lights and locked the door. The parking lot was empty. She walked to her car unhurried. Some protections fade. Others change shape. The ones that matter leave you standing on your own feet. Years later, the story would sound smaller when told. Details softened. Edges blurred. That was fine. Elena never needed it to be big. She needed it to be true. She lived a life built on ordinary courage. Showing up, staying kind, holding lines. Some nights, she still listened before locking up. Old habits don't disappear. They evolve. She smiled more now, not because the world was safe, because she knew what to do when it wasn't. Somewhere, a man and a dog kept moving, not chasing trouble, just answering it when it appeared. And in one quiet clinic off a long road, a nurse kept the lights on. That was enough. Some stories don't end loudly. They settle into the people who lived them. If this one stayed with you, consider subscribing, liking, and turning on the bell. Share where you're watching from or what the story made you feel. Quiet courage deserves to be remembered.